Welcome to my Chinese horror movie reviews. In this special review format, I'll not only check out the movie, but I'll explain the ending, because if you know anything about Chinese horror movies, then you know they aren't very conventional. In this episode, we're going to take a look at a movie that is reported to be the best Chinese horror movie ever. That's a tall call. Hi, I'm the Artie Dance from Asian Film Fans, and welcome to this review of The Chrysalis, a creepy horror mystery thriller. Let's look at what's hatched from this cocoon. A young hairdresser, Quan is kidnapped and tortured by an old university friend named Annie. Annie is jealous that Wan Xing has stolen her boyfriend Luo Jia, their old university teacher who she is obsessively in love with. 3 months after the kidnapping, Wan Xing awakes in the middle of a busy road in the pouring rain. She has no memory of the last 3 months and is quickly reunited with Luo Jia. But things aren't right. Wan Xing keeps imagining she is Annie, whose dead body was found in the bottom of a lake, and while trying to get her life back to normal, she starts to slowly lose her mind. A mysterious man is following Wan Xing. He seems to know what's happened to her, but there are people trying to stop him from telling her the truth. But none of this seems to bother Luo Jia, who has decided he wants to marry Wan Xing. But it's at their wedding where the horrible truth of what's going on is revealed. Now we're going to play a game. I'm going to give you 3 options, and you're going to guess how this movie is explained. Your options are: Wan Xing is having a nightmare on the night before her wedding, Annie is a patient in a mental institute and this scenario is part of her therapy, Annie has plastic surgery to look like Wan Xing and has taken over her life. The answer will be revealed in the explanation section. When the user reviews on Chinese movie portal website Douban comment that this is the best Chinese horror movie ever made, then such a bold statement needs to be tested. Personally, I've always thought Bunshin Saba 3 was the best, and after watching this movie, I still do think it is. But this movie is a different type of horror film than that, and it's very much worth your time. The central point of this movie is actress Sandrine Pinna. She is a Taiwanese-born Chinese-French actress, and she's playing the role of Wan Xing. She's a very interesting casting choice, with her distinctively Western looks, but fluent in Mandarin. On the most part, this movie is quite good, but as we will explore in the next few sections, there are some quite ridiculous bits that at times shift the tone of the movie from serious to comedic, and it's purely unintentional. The opening torture scene in the bathtub is mostly good, and if you've seen the movie, you'll know what I mean. There's just one section when Wan Xing gets out of the bathtub and somehow manages to trap Annie in there, who then gets electrocuted. It's both good and bad. The slow and curious build-up of the story works in the movie's favour and turns it into a thriller. The greenhouse scene is probably the point of the movie when you'll work it out, or at least have a good idea of what's going on. And don't forget, the movie title is a massive giveaway. In Chinese, the title roughly translates to female cocoon. Before we move on, let's learn some more Chinese. Wang Shengjie. This means Halloween, and if you're wondering, the famous movie series is not known by this title, but rather the super awesome Ye Gong Gong Xing Hong Hong, which translates to something about moonlight. But Halloween? That's Wang Shengjie. But the problem with the movie isn't the good bits, it's the bad bits. And there are a lot of small bad bits everywhere that just have too much of an overall effect on the film that shift it from something that feels like it could be realistic to something that seems like a fantastical story. From the opening torture scene that makes little sense and is then completely disregarded in the final act, to the annoying speed-ups of footage done by the director and editor to give the movie a music video vibe, but in the end, it makes the film look a little cheap. Then there are the silly plot holes. The 3-month gap isn't satisfactorily explained, and in real life, the events that occurred during that time would take years. There's even the silly scene of a labourer following the doctor in a taxi to a wharf, clearly a long distance drive, only for him to dismiss the taxi driver and start walking back to the city. Why? Then there's also all the only in the movies type scenes. Smashing a car into a brick wall and just walking away, pushing a guy off a roof with no consequences, and having Annie's sister and father take a huge role in Wan Xing's wedding when they are clearly love rivals. This one is at least explained by the ending, but before you know that, it just feels off. This is the spoiler section, so if you ever plan on watching this film, maybe skip this bit. Back to the 3 choices I gave you earlier in the video. If you guessed Annie has plastic surgery to look like Wan Xing and has taken over her life, then you'd be correct. Well done. This one I didn't really see coming. Somehow during the torture scene, Annie either accidentally kills or knocks Wan Xing unconscious. I'm not 100% sure on this one. With Wan Xing out of the way, Annie contacts her father for help and convinces him to reshape her face to look like Wan Xing. The mysterious man we meet during the movie was responsible for the surgery, and he did it with the promise that Annie would fall in love with him. After countless surgeries, Annie is satisfied that she looks enough like Wan Xing that she feels she can fool Luo Jia. However, when she looks in a mirror and realizes just how much she looks like Wan Xing, she completely flips out into a mental state and takes on her persona. She then slowly but surely, with the help of the mysterious man, gets her memories back. But for a brief time, there are 2 people living in her body. It's actually kind of a little confusing, and the way it is presented on screen is a little ham-fisted. It makes for a good thriller movie, but it can be a little confusing. So does it live up to the mantle of the best Chinese horror movie? Well, I don't think so. There are still way too many silly scenes in this movie that really stop it from taking that mantle, but it's definitely in the top 5. In general horror movie terms, in a scale of 1 to 5, this movie gets a 3. It's actually an interesting and entertaining horror thriller, and will have you gripped to the screen watching every twist and turn. With my patent pending ghost rating, which stands for great horror or stupid trash, this movie gets 4 ghosts. It's above average against other Chinese horror movies, and can hold its head just above the water in the sea of Asian horror thrillers. Is it worth a watch? For sure it is, but Bunshin Saga 3 is better. I hope you enjoyed this look at the Chrysalis. This is a regular video series, so please press like if you enjoyed this video and subscribe if you'd like to see more. Thank you for watching.